This video is going to show you how to achieve the top 10% score in Guardian games in the competitive playlist. For those that just want to see that, then skip to the timestamps. Other than that, I can go through the build, etc. But I will remind people, like I have in the previous videos, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. But I believe people are doing this. But I will ask every video, but just very short like this. So well done on that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Going back to the score and the video though. The top 10% score as of today that I can work out, because the game doesn't tell you anywhere what the top 10% is, but the game does know it, but it won't tell you what it is. I believe it to be around 290 to 300k. So we're almost at 300k to get top 10%. This is where you're going to have to start soloing it, because fireteam is no good, especially if it's like a random fire team, which it probably is. Unless you're in a coordinated team, then your score's going to be bad, because people aren't going to do the things that you want them to. It's just the nature of Destiny 2, isn't it? So you're going to have to solo it. And this is how you can easily solo it. Like I just told you, it's about 290k for the top 10%. Well, what this score is going to easily beat that. We can easily beat that on today's Nightfall. There's 3 Nightfalls for Guardian games. So there's 3 different ones. It starts with Glassware, Inverted Spire, Disgraced. Disgraced probably being the highest potential for score, I think. I don't know, maybe that or Glassware, I'm not sure. Inverted Spire not being as good for score, but if you understand Inverted Spire, it's actually really easy to get a decent score on this. And it's the easiest one out of the 3 to solo. So, if you're struggling with this top 10% thing, do it today. And do it in a private lobby. You can do it on any class. You could follow the exact weapon loadout that I'm using on any solo class. I recommend solo because you want to play super aggressive to get the chain killing going. So we use Karnstein armlets for finisher kills, for health regen. We use weapon-wise Buzzard, exotic hand cannon sunshot, and a solar LMG fixed odds. With Weller Radiance and the usual build. I'll just provide a dim link. I'm not going into all of this. Don't worry too much about my build. There wasn't really anything special about it. I wasn't even running T10 Resilience because I couldn't really be bothered adjusting stats, because it wasn't that important to me really. But it's really easy. These aren't Nightfalls, they're just pseudo strikes, right? But you need to play quickly to get that score, so there's a bit of that in this. So that's what we was using in terms of the weapon loadout. The Nightfall is barrier and unstoppable, but they can be an overload in this, but it doesn't matter if there is an overload. Don't spec for overload, you don't need to. So that was the setup. So on with the run. So as we launch the Nightfall, what you need to understand is, yes, this is the Nightfall setting, but you are starting in a public zone. Therefore, the enemies that spawn in this public zone are classed as enemies to kill for score. If you look at the bottom right hand corner, we have a 1.63 times multiplier, which means we can kill the enemies in this public patrol area and still get points. There are limitations to what you can do, and you're going to say, well, can you go in a lost sector and farm score? You can't. If you go in a public lost sector from here, which there's one close, then you'll get a 0 multiplier. So they've stopping you doing that. Can you go to other areas on Nessus and farm score? You can't. You can only farm it in this particular area. If you go to any loading areas at all, you'll get a 0 multiplier. But what I figured out on this run, because of how quick Inverted Spire is and how quickly you can run it, you don't need 20 minutes to complete it, even when you're being slow at getting your finisher kills and whatnot. So what I worked out was, for a casual run, you can spend 2 to 2.5 minutes in this patrollable zone, bumping up your score a little bit. However, if you don't care about it that much and you want 300k, then you don't need to do what I'm showing you right now. But if you want to like push it a little bit and get some extra free points, then you can do what I'm doing here. There's 3 zones that they spawn. They spawn there and in this cubby area, and then there'll be occasional fallen skiffs that drop like so. You kill those enemies and you just do this loop over and over where you kill the enemies, right? So you do that, you farm up your points a little bit, beef them up, and then start the run. You don't need the full 20 minutes, but if you're somebody who maybe is a little bit of a slower player, there's nothing wrong with being a slower player, because a lot of the slower players barely die and have a good PvE KD. So don't be calling the slower players. I'm just saying if you are a slightly more methodical player, then maybe don't do what I'm doing and just start the run. It's up to you. I'm using the hoverboard thing. There's no requirement for you to use this. There was nothing where I used this to speed up my run in any way, shape or form. And I'd probably have been better with a Sparrow anyway, so it doesn't matter about this. You can spawn your hoverboard after this portal, but don't do it. Because I've found that the enemies don't spawn if you do that. The Cabal enemies that are going to spawn right here. That's the spawn right there. If you go too quick, they won't spawn up and you lose points. Don't do this. So what I recommend for each encounter, I'm going to sort of give you mini tips on each sort of combat encounter that we come to. So this is one, for example. It's only a small one, but every little bit counts for points. You need to do as much chain killing as possible. So we weaken the Colossus first. Start with the tanky target first, right, and then work with the smaller enemies last. This increases your kill chain potential. So look up, we just got 13,500 points there for a very simple, what's that, 10 Cabal enemies, and we got 13,500. Why? Well, because we're chain killing, and there's this mechanic in Guardian game comp Nightfalls where if you don't kill enemies quick enough, you just don't get the same amount of score. If you were to kill one enemy one by one, we just say let's say Wishender, and you took your time between each kill, your points would be so low that it would be completely different to mine. So you need add clear focus weapons. Now I didn't want to use Trinity Girl because everyone's using Trinity Girl on these runs, and I don't like Trinity Girl that much because I've played hours with Trinity Girl in the past. I don't want to go back to spamming Trinity Girl. It's so boring to me. But if you're somebody that does love Trinity Girl, then this is the time to use it. So it is the best in slot, by the way, for Guardian games. It's hands down the best weapon. But Sunshot's also really good, which you'll see in this run it is. So you want to finish on that Cabal Ultra. You want to finish any enemy that is not a red bar. And you want to chain kill like so. So we popped up, we popped to the front with a well, right? You want to keep popping wells because you're getting this gold ability empowerment thing that just gives you increased ability regen. The problem that I found with this is that I do get plenty of supers and orbs, but if I have my super fully charged, I can't pick up the orbs that I'm making. This isn't such a big deal because you only get 16 points per orb generation kill. Like, it's quite ridiculous. It should be a lot more than that for orb generation, you know, but that's what it is. But that's why you keep seeing me pop my well, you know, because I don't need it. You don't need to use like an add clear focus super. You don't need to use like Stormcaller, Chaos Reach, or Banner of War and stuff like this. You're not rewarded in this playlist for such things. What you're rewarded for is getting enemies weak like this and then emoting. Now, you want insult to injury. See that? That medal, you want that medal to pop. You'll get finisher medals and all that stuff, but it's the finisher medal, it's the insult to injury medal that you want. Now, I'm too powerful for this Nightfall. I'm killing enemies by accident and stuff, and I don't recommend, in actual fact, this sidearm that I'm using, Buzzard, I don't recommend that you use it. Not the one that I've got with kinetic tremors. It's too powerful for the enemies. It's killing them before I can finish them. So, maybe use blind and nades, right, and then Sunshot or something, and use your machine gun for barrier because you have radiant up all the time, just about, with the gold empowerment thing. Or use a sidearm that you don't like in the kinetic slot. That's what I recommend. Don't do that neither. So we've been punished here. The barriers fell off. Now I'm punished for that, and I have lost 5 or 6k points. That's totally unfair what he just did there. He didn't have to fall off like that. Again, I was just telling you how strong Buzzard is. It's that strong, it'll push champs off. Don't use Buzzard, or use a kinetic sidearm that's not as strong as this one. You just want something to break shields, but even then, as I say, you don't even need that because you can use your machine gun to stun shields. Technically, when you've got radiant up. Make sure you kill all enemies, so the 2 snipers and the Colossus. Yes, you can't chain kill up there like that because they're separated out, but that's fine. Still kill them anyways, because remember, it's a 20-minute run. Your score multiplier goes down after the 20 minutes, so you want to get this all done in 20 minutes, the full run, to maximize your points. So even if it is just one ad on its own, still kill them. It's just more points, right? Make sure when you're emoting that you do your emote. Like that hasn't worked there. Did you see insult injury didn't proc? The tips are apparently, I'm not a big Guardian Games player, right? Not this year. I did go hard on it the year or two before, but not this year. Apparently, you need to check on the left-hand side if your emote as registered as an emote. Like it needs to come up that that your name and that you've done an emote, and then it's more likely to be that insult to injury will proc on majors, champions, etc. So in this run, I wasn't getting insult injury on some of the kills. So this run, there's more potential. Obviously, you can get 400k plus solo, especially if you run Trinity Ghoul. You're getting it. You definitely are, especially if you know what you're doing. But like I said, it doesn't matter. You just need to breach 300k. The next part is the obviously battlefield section. Don't skip these enemies. Kill them, because the last thing you want is skipping enemies. Then when you get to the boss, you kill the boss at like say 16 minutes. You've just wasted 4 minutes of time of what you could have been doing is killing extra enemies. For example, in the patrollable area that I was talking about. So, don't get to the boss too quick, right? Take your time, but when you do go on a kill chain, make sure that you really do go on one like this. Like, there's an actual timer in between the points. So see the points on the screen, 15,291. Once that disappears like that, that means that kill chain has ended. The game doesn't do a good job of telling you that a kill chain is ended, and they should probably rework the whole Guardian Games score rating to reflect that. If that's how they want us to play, which by the way I'm not a massive fan on score runs, like not the way how this works, but if they want us to be on this like kill chain type thing, then they need to rework the points. I cannot believe that they still haven't reworked the Guardian Game scores, like the way it works. Why are we still finishing enemies and stuff? I don't get it. Like, it is a competitive mode, right? So they're trying to introduce strike scoring in the game, which by the way was a very successful thing in D1, right? Strike scoring, it's legendary. And they're just making a joke out of it in Guardian Games when it should be right. They need to rework the score system, get me on it, and I'll tell them what to do. Supers, right? When you pop a super, that should be the maximum score that you get when you're using a Roman super on ads and slaying out and doing stuff like that. You should be getting loads of points for that, right? Orb generation, when you're picking up orbs, that should be like 200 per orb at least, maybe even more. Maybe go up with that, right? Then it should be more things other than just finishing enemies. So that's sort of my take on it. On this section here, make sure you stun the Unstoppable first, especially if you're running a solo build. If you kill all the other enemies, the ignitions will kill your champ and you won't be able to finish them. So when you're dealing with like an engagement where you've got a champion and then adds, deal with the champ first. Deal with the strongest enemy first, then work backwards. It's actually the opposite of what I generally would do in a solo GM, where methodically kill all the enemies, then isolate you and the champ together and do it like that. It's actually the opposite to that now. You want to actually deal with the champ first so that you can do a kill chain and hopefully get your insult to injury medals. And you think I didn't get it there again. See, so there's multiple instances where I didn't get it. It's just sort of like, I know that I could have been a bit more patient and what have you, but like, it is a little bit silly though, isn't it? But at least this is still going to give you the top 10% score, and then you can walk away with your exotic hoverboard and then be happy about it. Although I don't even think there's any difference between the exotic one and the white one, if I'm being honest. I don't think there is any difference, but I haven't looked into that to confirm it. Just that when I was playing with it, I thought it was just the same as the white one, if I'm being honest. We're on a good kill chain here. The dogs keep spawning in. We're at 25k, right? Up to 30. So can you see the potential of like chain and kills? You get so many points like that. And if you do just go in the matchmaking, you're not going to get a score of this. Trust me, you're not going to get a score unless you do come across two avid players that are wanting to finish everything. Problem is, if too many of you try and finish a champ, it might bug out the medal as well. So it's, I don't know. There'll be people that know more about this subject than me, so I'm not claiming to know everything about these medals and all that. But I do know enemy spawns, and I do know inverted spire. It was the beta strike for D2. It was the first video that I made about soloing strikes, because you could solo server and all that stuff. So I've got a lot of memories with inverted spire, and it is a good Nightfall, especially when it was the prestige Nightfall. It's a good GM actually. We haven't added up for we haven't had inverted spire up for a hot minute, have we? We haven't added. Why have we not added up for so long? Why are we playing like 12 months without playing certain GMs? It's just such a terrible system, isn't it? The GM system. They really do need to have it so that we're playing more Nightfalls, especially the fact that Guardian Games can give you 3 a week and GMs can only give you 6 for 3 months. Man, they need to sort that system out. I hope they do for Final Shape, and they rework the Nightfall system, because Nightfalls are your like bread and butter. You need Nightfalls to be good. You've got your raids, you've got your dungeons, yes, but to have that combat experience, right, you need Nightfalls in a good spot, and you need to have variation with them. We again knocked off an enemy with Buzzard. It's too OP. Don't use Buzzard. It's knocking them off. I think it's because of Barrier Sidearm. It's having some sort of unique effect with it, where it's sort of stun locking enemies. Barrier SMG has the same, it does the same thing, but you won't know because we haven't had Barrier SMG up for ages. But that was actually a unique thing. It was almost like high caliber rounds. It was stun locking all the enemies. It seems as though this sidearm's doing something similar. It's like a pushback sort of move. There's one champ here. There's not a double champ like there usually is. We'll get our finisher kill. We'll try and emote, because did we get insult to injury? We did. Why did we get it that time? I've done nothing different. Oh well, it's up to RNG. There's some more enemies, so we're going to kill them because we're on 14 minutes. This boss fight takes 5 minutes to solo, so I know that I'm ahead of time and I'm good enough to scour for any extra enemies. So we'll sparrow our way, well, we'll hoverboard our way to the entrance. There's going to be 3 harpies. One of them is a major, so if you care enough about this score, then make sure you finish the major, the orange bar. So we'll start with the major first, right? We're trying to get him weak enough. He's not weak enough. One thing about this is, if you didn't know, red bar enemies can be finished at half HP. Orange bar enemies and champs can only be finished at, I think it's 15% or something like that. It's when the bar's, you know, it's about 10 or 15%. So it's a little bit more awkward sometimes when you're OP trying to get them finishable. Sometimes you accidentally kill them. And that's the biggest enemy in this. So with the damage to the boss, you need to understand that you should not be melting this boss. Okay? There are 3, yes, exactly 3 spawns of harpies on this first phase. On this first plate. There's 3 plates, and this is plate 1. So you need to wait out these enemy spawns, but they are sort of linked to the boss's HP. So you need to edge the boss's HP a little bit with your machine gun or your SMG or your sidearm or whatever you use, and just edge the boss with your primary if you wish, because the boss is really weak, has no HP. There's an orange bar on the final harpy wave on plate 1, so we got to finish a kill there as well. So if anything, this is just telling you every single enemy spawn that there is in this where there's majors concerned. We'll push the boss to plate 2. Right, now plate 2 is interesting as well, because I believe there's meant to be 2 waves of goblins here. Right, on wave 1 there are only red bars, so on wave 1 you need to go on a massive kill chain where that you kill the entire group of enemies without losing that score on your screen, right, to get maximum points. So you can get a lot of points off this floor. But if you are somebody who doesn't care too much, and it is today that you run it, 313k that I've got right now will be enough, and you could melt the boss and technically get top 10% if you wanted. But we're here anyways, so I may as well finish what we set out to do, just to maximise the entire thing as best as we can. So I don't know if I've done too much damage here, but there is definitely meant to be 2 spawns of goblins here, so maybe I might have done something wrong. That's 1 spawn. Unless that's like both spawns together, because that's quite a couple of goblins. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Maybe try and edge the boss less than what I did. I've maybe bypassed an ad wave here. I'm not 100% though. But there is meant to be 2 waves, and there is an orange goblin. There he is. So, okay. Ignitions kills. So after all that, me trying to strategize where the goblin is dead, so what can you do? But there is a major to finish there, so there's that. Plate 3, we're at 17 minutes 30, we've got 2 minutes roughly. Right, well, 2.5 minutes. So we want to chain kill these enemies, get yourself into a good position, right? We'll then edge the boss, so you want to, let me try and think. There's 3 waves, and I end up bypassing one of the waves, I believe. Or the wave just spawns in anyways. I'll rewatch it and I'll let you know. But that's wave 1. Wave 1, there's 2 harpies and a couple of goblins, right? Wave 2 is also a couple of harpies, but then the last wave's fanatics. So we're going to pop a well where the enemies are best located to chain kill. Don't rush this. Get yourself in a good spot, pop a well somewhere nice where you can see every single enemy and get a good chain kill going. With either the machine gun or sunshot, it doesn't really matter, but the machine gun worked out really well. The damage we did just there was too much. We broke his head off. I didn't mean to, I was too OP. So I was just meant to edge him a little bit more. But so then what's happened there is, we've got the fanatic wave, which one of them's an orange bar, so we're going to get a finisher kill here. Right, we got the fanatic wave and we got the goblin wave. So yeah, we didn't actually skip a wave. It's just we got 2 waves at once, which actually might work out a little bit better for chain killing now that I think about it. So you might maybe want to do what I did, knock his head off and do it like this. There's more opportunity for points. Right, then we'll just kill the rest of the enemies. There's another wave of fanatics. So like, it's so easy just to go ahead and kill the boss. And you're like, oh wait, there's another wave. So there's 2 waves of fanatics. So we'll just see where all the enemies are coming from. It's probably best to wait in your well, wait for all the fanatics to get really close, then melt them. There's another orange bar. We'll go in, can't stay in armlets. I could have only done this if I was weak, can't stay in armlets. So OP. That's why we're using it. And then we'll just finish the boss off because I know that we're done and it's 19 minutes 30. So we've maximised this as much as we really can. There was insult to injury medals that we missed. But other than that, this is easy to solo for the top 10%. So that was showing you that. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.